the Bears' offensive line has clearly been an issue all season. Maybe not as much of an issue as the coaching issues, but it's clearly an issue that we need to address uh, going forward. But what were the biggest uh, detriments to the offensive line during this past season? Not so much as where we're going with the draft, that'll be later, but what drove you the most frustration in regards to them,
Well,
Patrick?
I mean, you can point to a lack of overall talent across the five positions, and that's true because Darnell Wright did a lot of the heavy lifting to get that 17th rank according to PFF. Um, if you take Darnell Wright out of there, they're 1,000% a bottom five offensive line in the NFL. So the overall talent across all five positions is the obvious number one. But I think what was more detrimental to that group this year and the way that things played out is the lack of depth more than anything. Because even though there was a lack of top end talent, as far as comparatively to other units in the NFL, it's when guys went down and they had below replacement level players in those positions. That's when shit got ugly with that group. And
100%.
that's on Ryan Poles. That's not on
Yeah.
nobody else. We can blame a shitload of stuff on Matt Eberflus. We can blame a shitload of stuff on the McCaskies and the way that they run their business. But Ryan Poles is the personnel chief for the Chicago Bears, and he's a former offensive lineman.
Right.
And he was not able to properly evaluate and or acquire or allocate his resources toward finding competent offensive line depth. And in the NFL, to Kelly's point earlier, you have elite offensive lines and then you have competent offensive lines. Most teams fall into the competent offensive line bucket. And the reason that they remain competent is because they have depth where they lack top end talent. The Arizona Cardinals, again, are a perfect example because they also lacked top end talent, but they had great depth. So when they were faced with injuries this year, Drew Petzing was able to make sure that that group didn't skip a beat and they continued to have a top, upper echelon rushing attack. So if you're not going to have top end talent on the offensive line, if you're not going to have all pros at both tackle spots, and you're not going to have competent guards or a center, then you have to have competent depth. And the Bears had none of that outside of Darnell Wright this year. So it was just an overall example of negligence on Ryan Poles' part.
Yeah, so I totally agree. Off the top of my head, if I had to think about it, center, right? I don't think we've had a center since Olin Kreutz, right? I mean,
Nope.
I mean, we had a white hair, but he was a guard, right? Playing center.
Right, guard playing center. You had a swing guard who was versatile and he did okay. He was a replacement level guy.
Yeah, and then also, so then you have Poles. We know now you can't get top end linemen in the 6th and 7th rounds and 5th rounds, right? I mean, you got to just go ahead and spend the pick.
I mean, Jason, in fairness, look, Jason Kelsey was a 6th round pick, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer. But fuck,
yeah. So is Tom Brady, right?
Strategy that you can for success.
Yeah, so is Tom Brady, though, right? I mean, not exactly. 6-round picks are going to be, So, also, listen, I know Darnell Wright's the best one. I kind of like Jones and I kind of like Jenkins. Now, I understand those guys aren't the best, but if I had to sit here and say, I think that pick from that guard that we got, I think from Tennessee, I forgot his name. Who didn't play for us?
Nate Davis.
Yeah. I mean, talk about a complete bust.
A complete misidentification by Poles.
Yeah, that, I mean, you got to do a little more homework on that. I mean, you got to have a buddy on Tennessee, right? You got to call Tennessee and be like, hey, does this guy practice? Right. Does this guy like to fucking actually play ball?
The Bears had DeMarcus Walker in the building. He played with Tennessee. He played with him in Tennessee.
Right.
You couldn't ask him.
Right. Yeah. So you're right. I think depth is a big thing because injuries happen. Right. And I would say that's still, like, if I had to pick a lineman, I'd say center. I'd go straight for the center. Obviously you'd go tackle maybe, but like I said, I still kind of like Jones. I still feel like Jenkins is good at guard. I mean, when I say good, I mean, I feel like they can get better. And, also, I feel like the Bears need to run the ball, man. I think running the ball helps the offensive line out. I know you know what I mean. So yeah, those things right there is how I feel about the offensive line. You know, center, run the ball more.
Center, look, if you need to upgrade the interior offensive line, look, you're right. Braxton Jones is an okay replacement level player at times. He gets exploited and put on an island when the people next to him aren't good. So, like, if the people next to him were competent, then you can kind of hide some of those blemishes. Tevin Jenkins at left guard is a competent starting left guard if he could ever stay on the damn field.
Yeah.
That's true. So since he can't stay on the field, you have to have another competent replacement level left guard behind him. And that's kind of and now you're tying up double the resources in one position. But if you had to start somewhere, you're 100% right. You start at center and you get that anchor there. And then you have an anchor at center and you have an anchor at right tackle with Darnell Wright. And then you can kind of build, put some depth together and kind of hide some blemishes at the other spots and hope things go best. Now, is that the best strategy in the world? Am I going to be thrilled about that? No, because that's what they did this year type of thing, right? Just hoped and prayed that shit went right. Health-wise, with guys that are 340 pounds and they're getting thrown around or like ragdolls to the line of scrimmage every single snap.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're 100% right. And then running the ball for sure. Pass blocking is an unnatural thing for most offensive linemen. Offensive linemen are big dudes that want to get downhill.
Yeah. So I definitely agree that the most noticeable thing for me that pissed me off every single game was how often our line went down. Like you said, you got a 380-pound guy, Jenkins. He pissed me off all season. You're getting fucking thrown around and taken out of the game 5 times. It's unacceptable. And like you said, Poles is an offensive lineman, or he was a lineman. Why is that your weakest part of your game?
And if it is, why don't you have somebody on your staff that's good at it?
Right.
Right.
Right. Where's another guy under you that's in charge of stepping up where you have a deficiency? Or checking you, right? Now, if he's the one making these decisions with the offensive line personnel, like the Nate Davis signing and this and that, why don't you have somebody there with the sack to check you on those decisions and say, that's probably not the move, boss?
You got to have some checks and balances there, right? I mean, it's not Jerry Jones, where he just, what he says goes,
Jerry Jones.
It's funny you say, sorry, but it's funny you say checks and balances, because actually my next point was, like you said, Darnell Wright brought us up to, the 17th rank rather than bottom 5. But you know what we are exactly bottom 5 in, ranked 28th of the whole league, is spending on the offensive line.
Without a doubt.
How about we throw a few dollars and get some real fucking offensive linemen on our,
the Bears got money to spend. I mean, they've had it for a few years now, a couple years at least.
And the only thing that I'll ever give the McCaskies credit for is spending really isn't an issue. The Bears are never a cheap team when it comes to spending under the salary cap. They do spend. They spend money. They just spend it wrong.
Yeah. Like they went and got Montez. They always got Mac. They got Peppers, right? They've always just prioritized certain positions over other positions. Yeah.
And they spend it. But like the thing is, like, you go to an example of like Ryan Poles' biggest miss as a general manager, in my opinion, is that he played hardball with Roquan Smith and showed him the door. Right. And then he replaced Roquan Smith with Tremaine Edmonds for like a couple $1 million less. And Tremaine Edmonds is absolute fucking ass. And Roquan Smith is still one of the best linebackers in football. So, that was Ryan Poles' first year. That was his first big contract negotiation internally, right? Contract extension negotiation. And he showed his immaturity there, right?
Mm-hmm.
In that Roquan Smith situation. And
you're going to do what I say. I'm the boss. You're not going to hardball me.
Chased down an elite linebacker and then had to go out on the open market and replace him with somebody far less adequate for a minimal
difference. Not that much of a difference. I know they try to make the argument, they got Edwards and Edmonds, and Edwards is actually really freaking good, right?
Really good. Really good.
It's really good. But
an off-ball linebacker, so it doesn't, what I mean?
Exactly. But to me, right away, I'm like, you drafted Roquan. Roquan's, top 3 in the fucking league at the time. come on, man.
Why even draft him?
And he's a fucking leader. He was a leader in that locker room.
Yeah, and he's a dog. I mean, he's what he's doing in Baltimore right now. Obviously, Baltimore's defense, not that good, but he's really good. So,
Baltimore's
you know
defense will
what?
be fine. They're in a transition year with Mike McDonald leaving. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
First year with a new system, new coordinator, but bro, and that's the thing too, is like, that's why I'm not sold that Ryan Poles is the guy. Like, it is what it is. There's no reason to speculate what it would be if they fire him or whatever, because they're not.
No, sure.
But we can say that he's got more misses than hits for sure.
Yeah, like that whole Claypool trade. I mean, I saw that coming from a mile away. I wasn't a huge Claypool fan at all. I know we needed a wide receiver. Did we really need a wide receiver? I mean, we were tanking that year, right? I mean, we
needed a wide receiver for. They weren't even sold that was their quarterback of the future. So why are you getting a weapon?
I mean, there's two things with that, because he rebounded from that Claypool thing when he pulled that DJ Moore thing off. So
my man. I got some oceanfront property to sell you in Nebraska. You think that anybody, Ryan Poles did some magical fleecing job at the Carolina Panthers, bro? The Carolina Panthers, that front office that was in place at that time, is one of the most incompetent front offices in all of professional sports.
Hey, he really lucked up with that, right? He lucked up with that,
right? If the Houston Texans don't beat the Indianapolis Colts on a last-second Hail Mary freak play in Week 18 in 2023, we're not even having this conversation.
But they go for two, though, right? I mean, don't they go for two at the end of that to win?
Right? Because then Houston has that pick. The whole shit changes. Like,
and again, that's why I blame Lovie Smith. Just did another favor for the Bears, right? I mean,
and then the next year for Carolina to come out and be as god awful as they were.
To get two first-round picks back to back like that. I mean, that's like fucking hitting the lottery. I mean,
you can't sit there. I think that Ryan Poles got a lot of value out of that trade, but you can't sit there and be like, "Oh my god!" Like he did so. Like, half of it was luck.
That's his claim to fame, though. That was
the
like his whole
DJ Moore side of it was good enough to combat that.
I would say DJ Moore was great, but except for this year, he didn't do much.
Top receiver. He's our top receiver.
Yeah, he also had like 197 targets, and all of them were at the line.
That's not saying much. Yeah,
I'm not knocking DJ Moore. Don't get me wrong.
I mean, I don't want to bring up the stats on that.
No, he's a dog, but
we will. DJ Moore and Keenan Allen are a topic coming up. But you know how I said I'd be okay. I'm torn with bringing over from OC to coach. I don't want to affect my Ravens. When Roquan happened, I was so like angry, and then they got with the Ravens, and I was like, I'm okay with this. We all
know you're a Ravens fan, Jack.
Hey, listen. Don't
we
hate,
can move
bro.
on. We can move on from that. No.
Let's speaking of, let's move on. Okay, we're on O-line talk, right? Well, obviously, clearly, what we have to do in the draft is address that issue, right? So, draft / free agency. I got a couple prospects. So easiest is, I mean, obviously Kelvin Banks Jr. and Will Campbell will be at least one of them, probably both of them, looking at the teams and what they need, will be available when we're up. So we're going to get one of those. I'd like to ask you guys which one, what do you think about that? But real quick, as far as free agency, I think if you look over at the Rams, Alaric Jackson is making $4.3 million, and he's up for free agency this year. I think he would be a good addition to our line. Then you could you need like a veteran guy. So there's two options, and again, they're not long-term solutions. They're kind of like a Keenan Allen type, It's Garrett Bowles. He's from the Broncos. He's a veteran. He's 33, gets paid $20 million. But he's healthy. The other option would be to take James Daniels back, who's much younger but still veteran. Makes similar.
Let him go. Should have never
similar
let him
money.
Go.
Should never let him go. Still one of the best in the league. I know a lot of people like frown and scoff and be like, "Oh, he's on an Achilles injury." I still think James Daniels and Alaric Jackson will be two perfect free agency signs. in this offseason. What do you guys think about all of that? Pat?
I'm not vehemently against any of that. For me, I'm just not there yet, right? Because I have to spend so much time on like what we got going on right now with the head coaching thing that I haven't even begun to delve into, pre-draft coverage and free agency stuff where, like last year, for example, when we didn't have a head coaching change, I could have sat here on January 12th and had this conversation and felt good about it. But with the head coaching change, I'm just not there yet. I know for a fact that, yes, we obviously need to invest resources in the offensive line. We got 4 picks in the top 75, and we got about $88 million in cap room. And I think that there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to accomplish that other than Poles just swinging and missing again. And then that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
So
no, I agree.
the resources are there. I just don't know. I just don't know how it looks yet.
Yeah,
You know what
I agree. I can't come up with any names, any specific names, for the draft. I don't know how it's going to fall. I know we're in the top 10, right? I think we're picking at number 10.
We're at 10.
Yeah, for now. Barring any trades and anything like that. Free agent wise, I'm not sure who's coming out on the market, to be fully honest with you. But I do know that we need to build the team from inside out, right? From offensive line, defensive line. I would obviously offensive line priority, but I wouldn't be mad if we got a great defensive tackle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, if I had to go draft, I think everywhere else are pretty solid, man. We got the wide receivers. Even if we lose Allen, we got the wide receivers. We got the tight end. We got, Swift is whatever. We could always draft a running back in a late round. Running backs, is what it is. And then, we got the quarterback. I like the defensive backs we got. I'm not sure if we're going to keep Byard. I don't know if he's on a 2nd-year deal or not, or I don't know. But
Byard loves it here, so he'll come back as a veteran signing.
Yeah. And then you mentioned linebacker. I know we still have Edmonds on contract, I'm pretty sure, but who knows? Maybe get some depth at linebacker,
Fucking Spotrac is loading super slow. I'm trying to take a look at these available offensive linemen in free agency, but Spotrac.
So that's what I got on the screen, actually. I'll tell you. Don't worry. So,
like Zach Martin.
So basically, hold on. Yours will load second, but basically, so look, we're 28th in spending. Okay, it's 17 million. Now if we keep Darnell Wright and
Darnell Wright's on his rookie contract still, so he's not
right. So we keep him, and we get rid of. I would be okay with getting rid of almost everybody else if we had to. But if you pay Alaric Jackson, he's at 4.3 million. If you pay him like say 5.4, maybe 6, take him. You sign Daniels, 26 million. So let's say that's 32 million. That's 17 million plus another, say 6 for everyone else. That's 40 million. That's at the highest end, right? That's not even like good deals. I'm just spitballing here. That would put us at about, I don't know, 48 million for everyone. Right. And that would put us in under the top 5 spending for offensive line. 42 if you get good deals and get rid of the right people, you'd put us in the top 10 spending. And honestly, even if that is top 10 spending, I feel like that would put us in like a top 4 line. So
man, that center class is weak.
The center class doesn't look that good. But I like Martin and I like Smith from the Jets at tackle. I feel like them guys, I might be, prisoner of the moment here, but I thought those guys are top tier, linemen there.
I think Zach Martin at right guard would be a good investment. Brandon Scherf from Jacksonville at right guard as well. I like right guard better. So this is how you got to look at it, right? And this is just a very vague off the top thing, just browsing these right now. I would say if you wanted me to pick a plan of attack, you'd address right guard through free agency. You would try to address center through the draft because the center class is pretty weak.
Yeah.
if you could get Tevin Jenkins to stick around at left guard at a decent price point, and then you can add some quality depth behind him, like Cody Whitehair is going to be a free agent. That's a swing guard that has had success in Chicago. I mean, if you don't want to do the retread thing, you look somewhere else. But I think right guard's where you spend your right guard should be your big free agent spend. Center should be your draft target outside of the first round, because the first round, right, you got Banks and actually, you know what, Banks and Campbell are both going to be guards in the NFL. So honestly, you can nail both of your guards, the right side through free agency, and you can nail the left side through the draft with either one of those two guys. And then your next job is, the last thing you really have to absolutely accomplish is find a competent center, whether it be in the middle rounds of the draft, and they got 4 picks in the top 75, so that's completely conceivable, or grabbing a veteran center out of that's a pretty weak class. But I mean, a guy like Ryan Kelly would definitely be an upgrade over Coleman Shelton, that's for sure, right?
Yeah, that's for sure. Yep. Yeah, I agree. They should make us the fucking GM.
So
they won't like my potty mouth, so I don't know.
Right.
So what do you think about this? If we bring back James Daniels, obviously they've been using him more as a guard lately, but he's actually listed. He's a center. He's an all-around lineman, including a center.
He played swing guard for us too, so he'd stay in that spot. He'd play guard, because again, if you have to nail the middle, your interior offensive line, that's 3 starting spots and then depth behind it. You're probably looking at Braxton Jones coming back at left tackle, like 99%.
Right.
So, Braxton Jones on the left side and Darnell Wright on the right side. And again, you can nail one of the guard spots in the draft and one in free agency. Really, the big question mark then becomes center.
It's center, man. And I feel like we need a pure center.
Yeah. And your long-term fix might not be there for you this year.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
What if so I really like Jackson better than Jones. I like Alaric Jackson, but I really want him. Now let's say, do you think we could put him at a guard? Do you think he would be adaptable if we had to put Daniels from guard to center?
I mean, could. I don't think that's a great plan. When you move a guy, when you take an offensive lineman and you switch him from tackle to guard, that's something you do as like a last resort with a guy you have in-house. Tevin Jenkins being the perfect, recency bias example. Tevin Jenkins came into the league as a tackle, and he was not very good. And then they moved him to guard, and he had a lot of success both on the right side and on the left side. So but to sign a guy to play him out of position it just seems like the ROI there, isn't good enough for me personally.
So I don't know. I'm not sold on Braxton Jones, to be honest.
But again, but Braxton Jones becomes the comfort,
the depth
food, because if you got to nail the interior of the offensive line and you got to bring in 3 starters, Braxton just by default stays at left tackle for at least next season.
Well, I'd rather
he's affordable, and because he's a guy that, like I said earlier, if you do hit the spots next to him, he's not as bad as he looks.
Yeah,
when you don't.
Yeah.
I'd rather do
and the 3-year starter, right? So that's got to count for something. He's got some experience at least.
The thing is, I really am sold on keeping Wright and putting Daniels in guard and drafting a guard in the draft, and then putting Jackson on the left, and so that would put Braxton as a depth person, more so than a starter.
If they go that route, that's great. We talked about how important depth is, especially if you don't have, your Penei Sewells, your Tristan Wirfs, or anything in the world. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think it's the, where I'm stuck, Jack, is I just don't think that it's not Bearsy. Okay. It's just, I don't think I have a hard time saying yes, because I just have zero confidence that they would do something that drastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what, though? I mean, at least I feel like this year, out of all the years, it's like, okay, we know what we need. Offensive lineman,
And
probably defensive line, you know?
we also need another
Edge
edge
rusher.
rusher opposite of Montez Sweat for
Yeah.
sure.
No, for sure. That's why I said, like defensive tackle, I think I would go, but obviously another pairing of that defensive end pass rusher, I mean, that would be great too. I just know when we lost Billings, I mean, we couldn't stop the run this year.
Billings
Billings
was really good. And honestly, not Zach Pickens, he sucked. The other guy that they drafted 2 years ago.
Dexter.
Gervon Dexter. Dexter had a really good year. Dexter came into the season as a giant question mark because he just really couldn't understand like leverage and pad height and stuff like that. And so he was always getting blown back despite his great physical traits. And he really did flourish this year. He had a really good year. So, I mean, I'm confident with like Billings and Dexter in the middle if they want to grab a veteran in free agency or maybe grab like an understudy in like the mid rounds of the draft. But like, there's tiers, right?
Yeah,
and those tiers are equated with assets, right? So the top tier, where you're going to spend your top tier assets, meaning those 4 picks in the first 75, and the majority of your spending that's going to be dedicated to that position. That's got to be funneled into the interior offensive line and an edge rusher opposite Montez Sweat, right? If you don't do it that way, I don't think it works because there's too many starting positions that need to get addressed.
Mm-hmm.
Positions in the trenches.
For sure.
There's no perfect way because there's going to be some holes there still, but like again, you address the edge of the defensive line rather than the interior because you have 2 replacement level guys that can play in the interior, but you don't on the edge right now. You know what I mean? So it's like the lesser of 2 evils thing. You address
that makes sense.
The offensive line because Braxton Jones, for as much as you might not love him, is a replacement level guy, and he can be lifted up by a competent play next to him. Type of thing.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So priority wise, center, guard, defensive end, defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Exactly. I guess if they get James Daniels right and put him as a guard and put him next to Jones.
Well, regardless, if you don't put any hypothetical names in it, like Kelly just said, if you have to build a priority list where your top assets, your most valuable assets, both in draft capital and money is going to go, it's got to go center, guard, defensive edge.
But we discussed earlier, there's not really any center candidates.
Right.
So
and again,
that's guard, which is why I'm strong
there. But you can definitely through the draft and free agency acquire a starting left guard and a starting right guard, and you can definitely acquire a starter on the opposite side of the defensive line of Montez Sweat. Then you're left with a replacement level player in James Daniels, who might have a better year with people around him, and you're left with 2 replacement level guys in the interior of the defensive line, who, while all 3 of those spots are eventual upgrade positions,
you think Daniels is
okay
a replacement
for now
level?
if you check those other boxes around them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think we're going to be able to get as many people as we need right away.
Well,
I think it's going to end up in a position where
$88 million in cap, you better be able to get 3 starters. I mean,
I view James Daniels as a starter, right? So and he's the second, guard is second to center. If you put James Daniels, who's a veteran and really good, next to Jones, who's okay, right, and then you put Wright, who's great, next to the new guy.
But I think that's where the missing link is here, Jack. Those guys are going to play left guard.
Yeah.
Not right guard.
Then you'd have to put Jones at right if you want to really get, because putting him next to a new guy isn't really going to benefit him.
Displace Darnell Wright. He's your best offensive lineman. You can't displace him from his right tackle position. And that's what
I'm saying. So
taking a step backwards. That's subtraction by addition. You can't.
Why would you limit the new guy to left guard?
Because they play on the left side already. Like you're underscoring how difficult it is to switch sides as an offensive lineman. But your whole.
I'm saying, where are you getting that idea that all these is Kelvin and Will, and are they all left guards?
left tackle. They're tackles in college. They're going to
Tackles,
play
right.
guards. They're going to play guards in the NFL. But
Right,
you're
but
talking about sliding over one spot,
this guy
or not
excels at
working
either
in the same
tackle or
direction
guard.
versus jumping to the opposite side of the offensive line and working in the opposite direction. And it's not like it can't happen or it's never happened before, but it's, again, we got to talk about process over result, right? And that's what's fucked the Bears for so many years, is not having a process, just aiming for a result. And so the process has to be good. You can't go in it with a hope and a prayer process. You have to play the percentages.
Yeah, but I also don't want a rookie with a semi-rookie who's just okay. I mean, how are they gonna excel together? And then you got a great guy and you get two
They
great
either
guys
are
next
or
to
they
each
aren't,
other.
brother. That's I mean, that's the name of the game.
Well, my
right?
point being is there's no balance there. You got two great guys
I mean,
that you've been around, and then you got two guys that are just coming into their skin. And you know, on the other side, they're gonna attack the rookies hard. They're gonna blow through that line.
I think we're
But the
talking a lot of hypotheticals, and
Yeah.
we kind of nailed it down. Like, hey, center, guard, defensive end.
Right.
You
I
know,
don't think it's hypothetical at all. I think if we end up in a position where the left side's all rookies and the right sides are veterans, if I'm a defensive
Well, the left
guy,
side
I'm
won't
gonna
be rookies because
I'm gonna be
Braxton Jones is a 3-year starter
slamming.
at the left tackle spot.
Yeah, but I don't think he's that good, is what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, and I'm telling you, I don't agree with you. I think that Braxton Jones is a lot better than you're giving him credit for. And the way that things are going to shake out resource allocation wise, I will bet you that Braxton Jones will be the starting left tackle of the Chicago Bears next year.
I'm gonna tell you right now, the three starters we're bringing back
look a lot easier.
I think I'm gonna tell you right now. I think Braxton Jones, I think Jenkins, and I think Darnell Wright are all coming back next year. In my opinion,
First of all,
I'm
okay with Jones coming back. I just don't have a lot of confidence in him by himself over there, especially with a rookie. But Jenkins, toss his ass out. I guess for depth, but like his ass is weak as shit. Goes down every 4 plays, and he ain't even that good.
He probably would be a great swing guard in that he's not his health issues might be alleviated a little bit by not playing as many snaps as a starter.
Yeah.
Now, price point becomes the issue because you're not going to be able to convince him that his best bet is to be a underpaid swing guard.
Oh, right. You know what? I forget his contract is coming up this year, isn't it?
His first sniff at free agency. So you're not going to be able to convince him of that.
Never mind. He might not be here then. I forgot that I'm thinking he's still on a rookie deal.
Yeah, he's gone.
Yeah, no, he's gone then. Yeah, I don't see the Bears picking him up. Like you said, I don't think it's
not at the price point he's going to demand. Which rightfully so. It's the first sniff at free agency. God bless, do your thing. You're in it to make money, but I don't think that's a pairing that's going to work out.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
And if it does, I'll be hella pissed.
If they get him cheap, like you said, if he takes it cheap, yeah.
If he takes it cheap, if he takes a price cut and plays swing and he's a depth person, I'm okay with it. But as a starter with a big price point where we could get much better, hell no.
You know, the other thing I really want that I want to say about this is, because I think it's too important to overlook with Will Campbell and Kelvin Banks and people penciling him in for the Bears at number 10 is, remember, rookie contracts are slotted based on the pick where you're selected. And if the thinking is, and this is the consensus thinking among NFL draft scouts, is that both of those guys will end up sliding into a guard position. You don't want to put number 10 money into a guard.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep.
So if there's a competent edge rusher there at 10, don't be surprised if the Bears go edge at 10 and try to address those offensive line needs with the other 3 picks in the top 75.
Okay.
Because it's, again, Jack, a lot of this has to do with, look, we can look at Spotrac all day. We can look at over the cap all day and look at free agent, impending free agent classes, but resource allocation is going to dictate most of this. And
so I agree. Let's first let's see what there is for edge rushers, and then let's see where we would get offensive line in a draft for second round. Okay. First, let's say we pull an edge rusher for the first round.
Abdul Carter is hands down the number 1 edge rusher out of Penn State. But I don't know if he's there at 10.
So the top three are definitely going to be there because there's a lot of QBs
Let's
coming
look
out.
at. I'm looking at Tank and 9 right now. So Tennessee's going quarterback. Cleveland's going quarterback.
Mhm.
Giants are going quarterback. New England is not. New England will go. They could go wide receiver. They could go edge.
I'm thinking they go wide receiver edge.
Jacksonville's not going to go quarterback. They're another team. Jacksonville probably takes Abdul Carter if I'm being
most likely, right.
So take him off the board. Vegas goes quarterback. Jets go quarterback. Now you're really digging deep into the quarterback well. So now you can't even bank on these teams all taking quarterbacks. Now you again have to worry about that second best edge rusher getting pulled off the board by Carolina or New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
When the quarterback well in the first round is run dry.
So we're looking at 3 to 5 pick, which
Michael
is
Williams out of Georgia or Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M are probably the two edges left on the board when you get there. But those guys are rated as bottom of the first round picks. And again, so now you get into asset distribution and allocation, and you're gonna give a guy that's rated bottom first round, top 10 slot money guaranteed for 5 years. It's
right.
The
thing is, though, we're not going to pick someone not offensive line or edge rusher. So
you don't know that. Never say never. Everybody said that they would not take fucking Romo Dunes at 9 last year.
That's true. But if they do, they're fucking idiots because at this point, that's all we need.
I get it. What we need and want on paper is totally different than
James,
the way that,
James Pierce Jr. Tennessee.
This is
Jack
the point
Sawyer,
that I'm
Ohio
trying
State.
to drive home to you, dog.
But if you're
easy to
you're
play
set up
Madden
with two
GM
positions,
and say what we want, but it's just not the way that this shit shakes out.
It's a bad decision, is what I'm saying. If that's the case, sometimes you hit all avenues and you back yourself into a corner, and you're going to lose value to create the perfect package.
If you get to 10, and the top 2 edge rushers are off the board, and you don't and you have the 2 tackles graded as guards, and you don't want to give them top 10 money. You know what you do? You trade back.
You trade down. That's it. Yep.
You trade down. You gain some assets to further attack those issues, and you go get the 3rd and 4th best edge rusher in the mid to late first round.
Yeah, that's always and this year is so crazy because you think a 5 and 12 team would be picking in the top 5, but there were so many awful teams this year. We're lucky we even got 10.
That's what you're going to do though, because they're going to end up having to trade down because there's no way you either lose the value without trading down, or you put value into shit we don't need, which is worse than overpaying something we do need.
Or do you go ahead and give the first round pick to Dallas for Parsons?
That comes with a record-setting extension. Parsons ain't going nowhere unless he's going to be the top paid edge rusher in the league.
Well, we got the money, but then now we won't get the offensive line.
No, I'd rather get
10th overall pick, and then you got to shell out a record-setting contract. And
we're not doing that.
Forget that Montez Sweat just got a fat-ass payday on the other side of the line. That's a shitload of assets allocated to 2 spots on the same positional group.
No, for sure.
Don't get me wrong. I would fucking love
it. Yeah.
But as we've learned, what we love, what seems like the obvious answer hardly ever is the, practical answer.
No, yeah, no doubt. Wishful thinking.
And then Montez Sweat was a bomb this year too. So, that sucks. You got shit money tied into him, and you got shit money tied into Tremaine Edmonds, and you can't really move off of either of those because they don't have any market value.
Yeah.
Speaking of people that we might or might not move off of, DJ Moore and Keenan Allen, specifically Keenan Allen. A lot of people were especially into the season and still now are just like, oh, it's a 1 year hire. It's a 1 year hire. Is he worth keeping around?
Well, of course. He had a great season, despite starting slow. And other than the 2 games he missed, he was healthy for his age, which was the next biggest concern, or the biggest concern for anybody. Here's the deal with Keenan Allen. He's only going to play in Chicago or LA. So that's it. Like, he's either going to play in Chicago or LA. He's not going to play anywhere else. He's at the point in his career where he's got a home in LA and he's got a home in Chicago. He's not playing anywhere else. So do we want him? Sure. At the right price point. Absolutely.
Yeah. But like you said, with those circumstances around him, he's more likely to give us the price point.
Absolutely. 100%.
Sure.
He also has the option to go back to his home in LA and play for Jim Harbaugh
Which they were missing a wide receiver.
Yeah, money don't really, it means shit. He's at the point in his career where he wants to be comfortable and he wants to win. So, he could just as easily say, well, fuck it, I'm gonna go back to LA and play with Harbaugh. Justin Herbert could throw me the ball and we'll have a good old time, and then I'll walk out and ride off into the sunset rather than dealing with the the turbulence and unknowns here in Chicago.
Yeah.
And he might do it for less over there. So the Bears don't really have any leverage with him right now.
What would you give Keenan Allen to stay?
On a 1-year deal, I'd give him probably like
the veteran minimum.
I mean, I'd give him 12 to 15 million. It's 1 year. The money comes off the books. The money comes off the books after that season. It's 12 to 15 million. He really is a great receiver. Like and let's if he's utilized the way he's supposed to be utilized. He was so poorly used by Shane Waldron for the first 8 weeks of the season that you saw it. Once Waldron was gone, Keenan Allen started to flourish.
Yeah, I was gonna say it really depends on the coach. A lot of these decisions depends on the scheme.
For sure.
That's
Kelly, that's probably one of the best points that's been made here in the last 20 minutes because
he's been waiting to deliver that.
If you bring a guy like Todd Monken or a guy like Drew Petzing, guess what? All this now you're looking for a different style of offensive lineman. Now you might have to replace offensive linemen that you might have been able to bank on previously. Drew Petzing runs a lot of 12 and 13 personnel. So what's that mean for Cole Kmet? Because now you need a lot of big blocking tight ends. And you got a lot of money tied in him, and he's at his market value is at an all-time low. So it's not like you can flip him for anything valuable at this point to get rid of that money. So Kelly, that's a great point. A lot of this is just, we can identify needs and we can sling hypotheticals around all we want, but until the coaching staff is in place, none of this really means shit.
Hey, listen, guys. I told Kelly this the whole podcast. He keeps throwing schemes around. This is what we do. This is all hypothetical. This is a podcast. Yeah. Everything's speculation.
No, I get it, but I'm just saying, he nailed it there.
Schemes are part of the hypothetical, though, right? I mean,
100%.
Yeah. What do we?
Ben Johnson's going to run a totally different offense than Todd Monken and Drew Petzing, and Pete Carroll's going to run a different offense than all of them. So
let's entertain this then. Okay, so we all agree that Keenan Allen was a great asset. He didn't age. He could be better if he's utilized right, and I think he's very important to keep around until O'Dunes really has a chance to develop. So, under your 5 head coaches, which ones do you think he would fit well?
I mean, everybody can use a Keenan Allen. Look, I know. But
no, you're right.
The right way because Keenan, he's an elite separator inside, right? But now you run into the issue is personally to me, Rome O'Dunes is also a best served as a slot separator.
Yeah.
So now you have some redundancy there. I guess if you gun to my head, the answer to your question is Ben Johnson because I feel like the offense will be more spread out under Johnson.
Yeah, I was about to say that. I was about to say, look, you got 3 wide receivers. You're not going 3 wide receivers and 2 tight ends. You're just not doing that. It's like one or the other, right? So, I know that the guy from Baltimore likes to run 2 tight ends more than the 3 wide receiver set. And then, Ben Johnson likes the 3 wide receivers, I would say a little more.
And he likes a shitload of pre-snap motion. So
I
think that's another reason why Ben Johnson would be the best choice because we already have 3 wide receivers and a tight end that are good and in place.
Rome O'Dunes would be your the pre-snap motion gadget guy. Rome O'Dunes would be like Amon-Ra St. Brown in Ben Johnson's offense. He would fit that role.
Yeah, to be honest with you guys, it wouldn't be no sweat off my dick if Keenan Allen left.
Oh yeah, it is what it is. If he wanted to go back to LA, fuck it. It opens up more targets for Rome.
Now, what about DJ Moore? Is he a must keep?
DJ's not going anywhere.
Well, we just signed him, and then I know there was some rumblings in the middle of the year where they're just like, man, do we keep DJ because him and Caleb aren't on the same page and all that? And I'm like, dude, you just signed him. DJ Moore's a dog. I mean, Caleb and him need to work it out. If it's not, if they're not on the same page, they need to work it out. Which I'm not reading too much into that, anyways.
No.
But but yeah, DJ Moore's got to stay.
He's not going anywhere. DJ's got a very specific skill set, and so again, like Keenan Allen, like Romo Jones, it's just DJ Moore is he's like a hybrid running back, almost like DJ Moore is not a
like Deebo Samuels.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so the problem, again, they have redundancy because you could say that of all three of those guys, right? Keenan Allen's an elite short yardage, first move separator. Romo Jones probably best served as a slot separator as well, although he has the best ability on the team to win 50-50 balls in the end zone and go up and get it because of his size. And then DJ Moore is another guy who lacks its size, but he's also another line of scrimmage, like gadget guy, get the ball in his hands in open space type of playmaker. So again, they went out and got weapons, but there's so much redundancy there that they all kind of do the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where's your Corvette in that receiver room?
Yeah, where's the guy who's going to take the top off the fucking
where's your AJ Brown in that receiver
room?
Okay, so
you don't have it.
Right, you don't. So if let's say I think you guys are on the same page where if you were to have to let go of one to replace him with a Corvette, you guys would be okay more with Keenan Allen, I'm guessing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So
because he's an expiring contract, so it's
right.
It's nothing.
Right.
Hey, so, thanks. See you later.
In that instance, who would you go for, and how?
Tyreek Hill. He wants out of Miami.
He does want out of Miami, but
is he? He's under contract over there, right? Or no? Is he a free agent coming up?
Under contract for a lot. He signed an extension last year. He would cost.
Okay.
Let's see.
Here, I'll go free agent wide receivers. Who we got?
There's got to be some other burners anyway out there.
Ooh, DK Metcalf, baby.
No, fuck that. No thanks.
Yeah, no thanks.
He can't run
Adams. No, I'm
Devontae Adams already said he'll never play for the Bears.
I know. I'm listing all the worst options right now.
He's missing out.
Yeah, I was going to say those are pretty shitty.
No, actually, realistically, I was thinking about this last night, and one good receiver that we could do that's up for free agency is Chris Godwin.
Can't stay healthy. Gonna want a lot of money. Oh,
18 mil.
Fuck. What about Diggs? Diggs
is the redundancy. Diggs is the same receiver. Diggs is as a slot separator, dude.
Yeah,
this ain't gonna happen because he's gonna demand too much money, and they already have a lot of assets tied up in that position, especially when Rome's rookie contract starts to get a little more expensive over the years, because he was drafted 10th or 9th.
Right.
But T. Higgins, bro, fuck.
Oh, T. Higgins.
I was looking at T. Higgins, but I thought the same thing. That's why I went with Chris Godwin after that, because T. Higgins is like, man, that's an ask right there. Now you're taking away assets that we could be using on edge rushers and offensive lines and shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And remember, free agency comes before the draft, so you can't say,
right.
Let's fill these spots in the draft, and then we could spend the money on that guy.
Right.
You spend the money first, and then you get, then you play the Russian roulette game in the draft.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
What about Deebo Samuel?
No, he's the same as DJ.
Deebo Samuel is DJ Moore.
And plus, he can't stay healthy, man. I mean, that guy he had a terrible year in San Francisco this year.
Outside of T, this wide receiver class fucking blows.
Cooper Kupp.
Cooper Kupp's awesome, money, but I don't see him leaving LA.
And that's another one who's in the slot, right?
Yo. Speaking of, guess who's up for free agency? Jamar Chase.
No, he's going to get extended. He's not going anywhere.
Hey,
because then T. Higgins.
Yeah, Higgins. Jamar's not going anywhere. Crack his ass off your list. He's not going anywhere.
I'll tell you right now, if Chase hit free agency, Jesus Christ. Throw the fucking Brinks truck. Talk about backing up the Brinks truck on somebody.
If the Bengals let Jamar Chase walk, they're trading Joe Burrow because he's not gonna.
That's a complete teardown.
That's not happening.
Speaking of, what about Justin Jefferson?
That's never gonna happen.
No shit. The only good ones are people that are never gonna leave. They're gonna for sure get an extension.
Right.
Well, CD
More than
Lamb.
are like busts.
Oh, wait, they extended CD right already.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Because I remember in the beginning of the year there was some talk.
Oh man,
If
I
the
hate to
Bengals
say
are
this,
looking to
but
move something around, you speaking of the Bengals, right? T. Higgins probably not realistic, and neither is Jamar Chase. But and also we're probably getting a little stupid with the investments we're trying to hypothetically make in wide receivers, to try to fix some redundancy with Keenan Allen. But
Right.
if the Bears are interested in anything, the Bengals might possibly want to move off of this offseason. It's Trey Hendrickson, the edge rusher.
Oh yes, there we go. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Now that's something the Bears would do because I feel like he wouldn't get Micah Parsons money. He would get paid. He would get paid, but he wouldn't get paid no Micah Parsons money though.
Right.
You know, and,
He's 30. He's got 1 year left on his contract. His cap number for 2025 is 18.6 million. The Bears don't even have, they don't even have to fucking extend it, but they can so that's to be his age 31 season next year at an $18.6 million cap hit. So yeah, if there's anything on the Bengals roster that I'm interested in for the Bears, it's Trey Hendrickson.
We could do, especially if it's a replacement for just Allen and it's not a Corvette, but let's say Allen did leave us and we were stuck trying to find a replacement. We could go with Rashad Bateman.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not opposed to that. He'd fall into the same. I think he'd fall into the same price point as Keenan Allen. So yeah, or very similar. So
I think cheaper, to be honest. He's at 5'1" right now, so I think we could get him at like less than 10, maybe 10.
Bateman. Looking at this free agency list is so bad, man. Amari Cooper sucks. Godwin never stay healthy. T not going to be in the market for him. Stephon redundancy, going to get paid at the top of the market. Robert Woods, Brandon Cooks, Mike Williams. Jesus Christ, you got to get down. I mean, Hollywood Brown on a
Brown. There you go.
Deal. You know what I mean?
Tyreek Hill is 28 mil right now, and he's coming up on it. So I mean, I don't know.
They're not investing $28 million of cap space into the wide receiver position with DJ and Romeo.
I know, especially with the line we need so much of. Damn.
Hollywood Brown will be a good flyer, 1 year flyer deal to replace Keenan Allen if that's the route that they went.
Yeah. Which
I hate 1 year deals though, man.
They might not even do that. Because
you wouldn't give Hollywood Brown anything more than 1 year.
No, that's why I just say fuck it, go with Bateman.
In Kansas City and then got hurt.
Yeah, I would go with Bateman.
Plus, like you said, man, to me, we got the wide receivers showed up. You got a number one and a number two.
Yeah,
we're saying hypothetically if you
leave. Yeah, but what Kelly's saying is you don't want to tie up anything more than 1 year and a third wide receiver option.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's why I think Bateman, even though you would probably have to do more than 1 year, 2 or 3 with him, but you could get him for such a good bargain. You can get him for like fucking 8.5.
Listen, again, we know you're a Ravens fan, all right?
Right. No, actually, this hurts me. This hurts me taking him, saying this, because I think he's good for Baltimore, but I think he's the next big, he's going to grow for Baltimore. So trust me, it has nothing to do with that.
Let's just bring the whole Ravens team here and slap fucking Bears helmets on them.
I'll tell you what.
I bet you if we get old buddy as coach, he'll come with. They'll get Bateman. How about that?
After free agency wraps, I'll come back on and we'll use Pro Football Focus's mock draft simulator and we'll put our GM hats on and we'll run a live mock draft.
Yo, that'd be dope. That's an interesting ass segment. I'm not gonna lie.
Hell yeah, let's do that. Yeah, I'm down with that. I got to do my homework for that, but yeah, I'm down. Oh yeah, Pat. I'm glad you came on here, bro. That was a lot of interesting insight. I feel like I'm talking to an insider. Just try the closest thing I could get to talking to an insider in that.
I'm no Ian Rappaport, but I mean, I've been, I definitely
spent a lot of time on it.
Knowledge, man. I mean, when you do this every day, professional.
No, you can tell in your takes that you're close. You know what I mean? That you know what the fuck you're talking about. Bottom line. So,
I hope so, or I'd be stealing money. Right?
Yeah, right. This fucking guy
does. Then again, I know some people
8 hours a day
just straight up steal money and not know what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah. No, for sure. Hell yeah, bro. Well, no, good shit, man.
Yeah,
it was good. It was fun. Good conversation. Like I said, we'll definitely do the mock draft thing after free agency. I'm down for that. And if the stars align in between, I'll be back.
Hell yeah. Cool,
All
man.
right. 11th episode.
All right.
That's a wrap. Thanks for joining me. Peace.
Hell yeah, bro.